Welcome back to the Wicked Psychology Live Hangout stream. Hopefully, everyone is having a fantastic day today. We are continuing with the Erica Stefanko case. The overarching story is that Erica Stefanko was convicted back in 2020 of aggravated murder for her alleged role in the 2012 death of Ashley Biggs. Ashley disappeared while delivering pizza to what was allegedly a fake address called by Erica to a desolate location. This is Erica's retrial due to an issue with her ex Chad Cobb's remote testimony due to COVID-19. Today we will be listening to Grace Cobb, which is the defendant's stepdaughter and the victim's daughter. So we're going to hear a bit of her testimony. We're going to hear both the prosecution question her and then the cross of the defense question her. And then we're going to move on and listen to someone that worked with the victim at Domino's that night. And then we're going to listen to two officers that were at the crime scene that investigated it, and then an officer that searched the home as well that Chad went to after he committed the crime. So, without further ado, let's start with Grace Cobb, the defendant's stepdaughter and the victim's daughter.
Good morning, Grace.
Good morning.
Will you please state your first and last name, spelling both?
Grace Cobb, Gracecobb.
How old are you, Grace?
I'm 18.
When is your birthday?
July 18th, 2005.
Okay. Do you live in the Summit County area?
I live in the Wayne County.
Oh, okay. Who do you live with?
I currently live with my boyfriend
And how long have you been living with him?
since the end of October.
Prior to living with your boyfriend, who did you live with?
My grandparents,
Who are your grandparents?
Jay and Cindy Cobb,
Okay. How long had you lived with Jay and Cindy Cobb?
since 2012, since June of 2012.
Do they live in the Wayne County area as well?
Yes, they do.
What's their address?
12215 Harvey Circle, Rittman.
And you said you lived there since June of 2012?
Yes.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one half sister, one half brother.
What are their names? Well, what are their initials?
FC and KC.
Okay. And what are their ages?
14 and 11.
Okay. So you're the oldest,
Yes.
the big sister.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to talk about your schooling. Did you graduate high school?
I did.
What high school did you graduate from?
Chippewa High School?
Okay. And did you attend all 4 years at Chippewa?
Yes.
Were you living with your grandparents when you attended Chippewa?
Yes.
Okay. Did you play any sports or any extracurricular activities?
I did soccer for a little bit, but I mainly just worked during school.
When did you graduate?
I graduated this previous May.
Okay. While you were in school, did you have any jobs? Were you employed?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. When did you start working?
I started working right around when I turned 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you in high school or was that middle? High school or middle school?
18, 17, 16. I think that would be around like junior high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you start working at age 13?
I was mowing the lawn for my community church.
And where were you employed or what other jobs did you have after mowing the lawn?
After that, I was at a Mexican restaurant in Rittman, and then I was in a veterinarian clinic in Doylestown.
What did you do at the restaurant?
I was a hostess, and I would bring out food, sometimes like server, worked in the back sometimes.
How did you like that job?
It was pretty good.
How long were you there?
I was there for, I think, a few years, maybe like 2 years.
And I think the next place you went was a veterinary clinic.
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury what did you do at that veterinary clinic?
I would like hold the animals basically in the room. I would like bring patients in, check patients out.
Okay. And you smiled when you started talking about holding the animals. Did you enjoy that job?
I did, yeah.
Do you still have a job like that?
I do.
Is it the same place?
No, this is at a vet clinic in Rittman, but I still kind of do the same thing.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been at the current vet clinic in Rittman?
That one will be 2 years in this June.
And how long were you at the other one when you were in high school?
That one was for a few years as well.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies? What do you like doing?
Working.
I see.
Mainly, yeah.
All right. Now you've graduated high school. Are you in college or are you solely working now?
I am in college right now. I'm in like core classes, but they're online. So I'll be in person in May.
What are you studying?
A veterinary technician.
Okay. And you said your core classes are online, but you said something is going to be in person?
Yeah, so like the actual like veterinary like classes, like the technician part will be in person. So I just have to finish these first.
How long of schooling, how many years do you have to go to complete that?
This is 2 years.
Okay. And when you're finished with that, will you have a title or what kind of degree?
A veterinary technician degree.
Does anyone else work with you at that veterinary clinic? I think you said in Richmond.
Yeah, in Whitman.
Does any other family members or anyone work with you there?
No, not at this one.
Oh, not at that one.
No.
At one time, did you used to work with your grandmother at a clinic?
Yeah, that was the Doylestown clinic.
Okay, that's when you were in high school?
Yeah.
And what does she do?
She's not a licensed veterinary technician, but she does the role of being one.
Were you able to learn a lot from her
I
working
was,
with
yes.
her? Oh, great. All right. Now you know why you're here, State of Ohio versus Erica Stefanko, so I want to talk about the case, okay? Now I know we talked about you growing up in high school. Do you remember middle school or elementary school growing up?
I do a little bit here and there, yeah.
Can we talk about middle school? Do you remember where you were living during middle school?
During middle school, I was still with my grandparents.
Okay. And what middle school did you attend?
Chippewa.
Now, let's go back to elementary. Do you remember about your elementary schooling?
I remember I was in St. Peter and Paul, and then once I started living with my grandparents, I went over to Chippewa. So it's like the same community.
Okay. When you went to St. Peter and Paul, who did you live with?
That one was with my dad.
Okay. You mentioned your dad. Let's start talking about the individuals involved in this case. I want to start with Ashley Biggs. If I say Ashley Biggs, how are you familiar with that name?
She's my mother.
Okay. Do you have any memories of being raised by Ashley Biggs?
They're very faint. I can't really say I have a lot.
Do you remember living with her at any point in time?
Just like I can remember like being around her, but not necessarily like living like long periods of time.
Okay. How about, let me just ask, do you have any good, bad, or indifferent memories? Any specific ones?
I mean, I can remember there was good. I remember I liked to go to Chuck E. Cheese a lot.
Okay. How about Brittany Dunson? If I say that name, Brittany Dunson.
She was my mom's girlfriend at the time.
Okay. At what time?
At the time, like I would be with my mom.
What, if anything, do you remember about Brittany Dunson? Do you remember living with her or any memories of Brittany Dunson?
I remember she was always around, like when I was with my mom. I mean, I'd say she like treated me just like my mom did. I mean, like she liked to be around me, do activities.
Do you remember what you called Ashley?
I called her mom.
Okay. Do you remember what you called Brittany?
I can't remember that one.
Okay. And you had referenced when you were at that school, you were living with your dad. Who was your dad?
My dad's Chad Cobb.
Okay. And is he the father of your half brother and sister, FC and Casey?
Yes.
Do you have any memories of living with your dad or any memories of your father?
Yes.
Okay. And before I ask about those memories, let me ask you this. Do you know where your dad is now?
Yes.
Where is your father?
He's in Richland prison.
Do you know why he's in Richland prison?
Yes.
Why, in your opinion, is he in Richland prison?
Because he was involved with the murder of my mother.
Okay. Do you know how long he's there?
He's life without parole.
What does that mean?
Like he's there for life, with potentially like no chance of parole.
Okay. Means he's never
Not
getting out?
out, yes.
Okay. Do you go see your dad or do you talk to your dad?
I do.
How often do you go see your dad?
I haven't seen him in a while since all of this picked up, but I would go and visit him in person twice a month. And then We usually did like a phone call maybe once a week, once every other week.
Is there a schedule you try to adhere to twice a month, or you just try to get in twice a month?
We usually just do twice a month, so like every other week.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that since like 2018 maybe. I can't exactly remember the first date I saw him in person.
Okay. When you go visit him, 2018, I'm not good with math. Were you driving yourself, or was someone else driving you back then?
My grandparents were driving me. I didn't have my license then.
How do you get down there now twice a month?
Sometimes I'll go with them and sometimes I'll drive myself.
Okay. And you said you talked to him on the phone?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever text him or write him letters?
Yes.
How often would you say you do that?
That I would usually do maybe once a week. I do through the texting email more than I would write.
And when you go see him, what are some of the topics that you all talk about?
Talk about work, like my home life, what's like happening
Okay.
event wise.
Talk about your boyfriend with your father?
Yeah.
Do you miss your father?
I do.
Do you hope one day, even though you just described to the jury that he's there with life without parole,
Mhm.
and you said you know what life without parole means,
Mhm.
do you hope one day that maybe he'll come home?
I hope so, yes.
Okay. Do you realize that your testimony today, or nothing you say today, will make that happen as far as the state making it happen?
Yes.
Okay. And have you been told that by the state?
Mhm.
And you still agreed to come in and testify?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because Erica had a role in my mother's death and she just walked away from it, and I don't think that's right.
And to be fair, you were subpoenaed to come in and testify. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't come looking for the state or anything.
Mhm.
Have you, and we're going to get to that, you said the name Erica. Have you talked to Erica, I believe back then, Cobb, since that time?
No.
Since June of 2012?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about your dad, not on the subject of where he is, but you living with him. Do you remember some of the places that you lived with your father?
I just remember the one on Eastern Road or
Okay.
Eaton Road.
Okay. When you lived there with your dad, who all lived there with you?
It was me, my dad, Erica, FC, Casey, A, AL.
Is he the same age as you?
He's a few months older.
You can say his name.
Okay, Alexander Lyon.
And who's Alexander Lyon?
He is Erica and a previous relationships. It's Erica's son.
Okay, so Chad is not Alexander's father.
No, he's not.
Okay. When you grew up in the household, did you and Alexander interact like you were brother and sister?
Yes.
At some point in time, did you all go to the same school?
Yes, we did.
And what school would that have been?
That was Chippewa. And we graduated together as well.
Were you ever in the same classes or participate in the same sports or extracurricular activities?
We would have similar classes here and there, but it wasn't all the time. It wasn't all of our classes.
And how would you describe the household with the children? What was your perception of living in that household?
I'd say it was, with me and Erica personally, there was good and bad, but all of us together, it was good.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Erica. And what did you know her last name as?
It was Cobb.
Okay,
I
Cobb.
knew it as when my father and her were married.
Okay. So if I say Erica Stefanko, would you know who that individual is?
Yes.
Do you see that individual in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Will you please point to Erica Stefanko and describe for the court what she's wearing?
She's wearing a knit sweater and a blue shirt.
Your Honor, will you please let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes, so reflected.
Thank you. So when we talk about Erica Cobb, Erica Stefanko, we're on the same page as the defendant sitting in court today. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do you know the defendant?
She was married to my father, and I grew up with her when I was at my father's house.
When you grew up with the defendant, what did you call her?
Mom. I call her mom.
Okay. And you said you have good and bad memories of being with the defendant. What are some of the good memories?
Some of the good, we would have my like school dances. There's this one time we got like the same dress. It was pink and white polka dot. And like I remember going with her and getting it tailored. I remember she would like to watch NCIS. She would watch that. Um, Sometimes we would just like hang out.
Okay. Things that a mother and a daughter would do.
Yeah.
What are some of the bad memories growing up?
Some of the bad. She was abusive, very controlling.
Was there an incident where you believed you were eating dog feces?
Yes.
Please tell the jury about that.
So I don't remember the exact date or time, but there was an incident where Erica had put dog feces. It was in blueberry yogurt, and told me to eat it, and I noticed that that was in there, and I mean, I haven't ever liked blueberry yogurt since then. Um,
But that's something to say, dog feces. So I have to ask the follow-up question. How did you know it was dog feces?
it looked like it, smelled like it. Obviously, I hadn't ever had it before, but once she forced me to eat it, I kind of knew what it was.
Did you all have any animals or pets at that time?
We did. We had German Shepherds and one Mastiff.
Okay. What was your reaction? What was your demeanor? What was going on with you at that time?
I was like scared, nervous. I was crying. I didn't understand why it was happening.
Okay. Were there any times you got in trouble for hugging or being around your dad or close to your dad too much?
I know I can't exactly remember her like telling me to get off, but I know like sometimes she would be upset when I showed too much attention to my dad.
Okay. I want to talk about June 20th of 2021. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I just want to put it in context about how old and what grade you would have been. First of all, I said June 20th, 2021. That's incorrect. It's June 20th, 2012, for the record. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 9. I apologize. I should have.
Oh, okay.
Did you recognize that exhibit?
Yes.
Please describe to the jury what we're looking at.
This is a school picture of me in first grade.
All right. And that would have been 2011 to 2012?
Yes.
Okay. Does that accurately represent how you would have appeared in the first grade?
Yes.
Okay. And you were about 6 or 7 at that time. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware at that time that there was a court process, a custody battle regarding you?
I didn't necessarily know it as like a custody battle. I just knew like most of the time I would be with my dad. Sometimes I'd be with my mom. I don't think I quite understood what was really going on.
Okay. Do you have any memory of when you say you would be with your mom one point and then your dad, any of the drop off or pickups?
Yes, I do remember we would meet in a parking lot whenever I was going from one house to the other. Um, so like if I was going with from my mom and Brittany to my dad and Erica, like they wanted me to like hug and kiss them goodbye, but like I kind of felt uncomfortable sometimes.
Who are they, first of all?
My mom and Brittany.
Okay.
So like they would want to hug and kiss goodbye. I knew like if Erica saw it, she would be upset because like she wanted to be the mom to get all that. So sometimes I'd kind of be like uncomfortable doing it, and then I'd go over to my dad and Erica, And it was kind of the same thing there. Like with Erica, if I wanted to like hug and kiss her, it's kind of awkward because my mom and Brittany, they didn't want to see that either.
So at a very young age, you were in an awkward situation
Mhm.
from both sides, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember your mother's death?
Yes, I
Do you
remember.
remember, okay, some of the incidents that occurred that night? Okay.
Yes.
And does that memory involve a phone call?
Yes.
Now, at the time that you had this memory about that call, did you know it was associated with your mother's death?
I did not.
Okay. So this was just an independent memory you had at the time.
Yes.
Do you remember where did you first, well, let me ask this question. Do you remember where you first disclosed that memory? Like, who did you tell that memory to?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember going to counseling after your mother's death?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you know how long you went to counseling?
I know I was in counseling for a very long time.
Okay.
It was for a few years.
Okay. Okay, will you please tell the jury what you remember about that night?
So the night of my mother's death, I remember, I remember waking up and I was in a vehicle. I don't know what vehicle it was. I was just in the back of it. I remember it was dark outside, and I can't remember if Erica was in the driver or the passenger, but I remember she was in the front seat. And I don't know if that was the same, like the exact same time that I heard her make the phone call, if it was like a few minutes, like falling asleep, waking back up. But I remember Erica making the phone call. It was her voice, and she used a different name to order. And I remember it was a pizza, but I don't remember what she ordered on it. And at that time, I guess I didn't really think anything like of why she was using a different name. Obviously, it's odd, but I just, that's what I remember.
Okay. And that night, where do you remember where you woke up the next morning?
At my great grandma's house, so Betty Tallman,
And do you know where that house is?
Rex Lake Road.
Okay. So after hearing that phone call, and we're going to go over that in a little more detail, the next morning, to put this all in perspective, you woke up at 731 Rex Lake Road. It's your great grandmother, Betty
Yes.
Tallman's house.
Yes.
After that date, were you around your dad out and about anymore?
No.
Okay. After that date, were you around? Well, I'll get to that part. Okay. Let's go back to the phone call because you said a lot of things.
Mhm.
You said you were in a vehicle, but you don't know which one.
I don't know which one.
Do you know if any of your brothers and sisters were with you that night?
Yes, I remember my siblings were with me.
Okay. You said it was dark out.
It was.
Okay. Do you know what time of night it was?
I just remember it was pretty dark out. I don't remember what time it was.
Do you remember even getting in the vehicle?
I do not.
Do you know where you were that night?
I do not. I was in a vehicle and it was dark out.
Did you see your dad?
I don't remember seeing my dad, no.
Were you awake, sleep, something else the whole time, or a combination of both?
Asleep and waking up.
Okay. So during that time span, you were awake some, and you were asleep some?
Yes.
Okay. How about your brothers and sisters? Do you remember anything about them?
I remember when I woke up, like I could see like them, they were asleep.
Okay. Okay. And I'm saying your brothers and sisters, are we, was it Alexander? Alexander is included in that. Was he in the car?
Yes.
Okay. And again, at that time, you didn't think anything of that phone call?
No.
Okay. And you said when you woke up, you saw her in the front, don't
Yes.
know what seat, drivers or passengers. And when you heard that call, do you know if she was still in the driver or passenger, or where was she, around, or?
I don't remember.
Okay. Just want to get the order of things. When you woke up, at one point, driver or passenger seat,
Mm-hmm.
you hear the call, but you don't quite know where she is at that point.
Yeah, like I said, I remember waking up one time and she's either in driver or passenger, And I remember hearing the phone call. I don't know if that was the same time I woke up, or if I woke up at a separate time.
Okay. Did she say anything to you at that time?
No,
Okay. Do you know how long you were at that location or anything?
I do not.
Okay. So it's safe to say you heard her make the phone call. Did you see her make the phone call?
No.
Okay, you heard it. And you did not know what type of pizza, but it was a pizza. She ordered a pizza.
Yes.
Do you know where she ordered that pizza from?
No, I don't remember where it was.
Okay. Do you know any details about the delivery of that pizza?
At this time, yes, I do.
No, not at this time. When you were in the car, do you recall if she gave any instructions of where to bring the pizza?
No.
Okay. I know you were in a car. I just took for granted where you were located in the car, but where were you and your brothers in the car?
I remember I was in the back. I was in the back seat of a vehicle.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of vehicle it was?
I do not.
Okay. Do you know if it had 2 or 3 rows in it?
I do not. I just remember being like in the back area.
Okay. Were your brothers and sisters in that back area too?
Yes.
And you said it was dark out. So when you look, did you look out the windows?
Yes.
Could you see anything? Did you recognize anything?
No.
Do you know how long, and I apologize if I ask these, do you know how long you were in that car total?
No.
You said you woke up the next morning at your great grandmother's house. Do you remember getting out the car?
I do not.
Will you please tell the jurors what happened when you woke up at your, let me ask this question. Do you remember seeing the police that night?
No.
Any other individuals that night?
No.
Okay. Please tell the jurors what happened when you woke up at your great grandmother's house.
When I woke up at my great grandma's, I remember I was really confused of why I was there. And I remember my great grandma, she just kind of seemed like not herself. She was like nervous, just like scared of what's going on. And that's pretty much.
Were your other brothers and sisters there?
I can't remember if they were with me or not.
Okay. How about your grandmother or your grandfather, Cindy or Jay?
I don't remember them being there.
Okay. What did you do when you woke? My next question, were any police officers there, if you remember?
I remember there was one that came like to the front door. And I was like with my grandma and my great grandma. I mean, we were both like confused about what was going on.
Okay. Well, what were you thinking at, if you remember, what were you thinking at this time? Did you think anything out of the ordinary?
No, I mean, I don't think I could really piece anything together. I was just confused with what was happening.
You know, you went to bed one place and you woke up another place?
Yes.
Okay. And you have no memory of how you got to that place?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe I asked you, you have not, I'll ask you, have you lived with a defendant since that date?
No.
After that date, where did you go to live?
I remember being in a foster home. I don't remember how many nights it was. And I remember the foster home, they bought me some clothes. I remember like it being laid out. And they had other kids there. I remember they were older than me. One thing I remember about the foster home, it was like a princess bed and it had like a canopy, I think you would call it, like hangs from the wall and it like comes down. It's like almost like a sheer over the bed. I just remember that because I thought it was really cool at the time.
Did you ever talk to, or did you go stay with Brittany after that as well?
I don't remember staying with her.
Okay. Have you seen or talked to, well, maybe not seen, have you talked to Brittany since then?
No.
Okay. Have you, outside of a court setting, have you seen Brittany since then?
No.
Who are the people and who are the individuals in State's Exhibit 101?
My mother, I'm in the middle, and then Brittany.
And your face is blurred out in the middle. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. And when we talked about Ashley, your mother, and Brittany, Ashley's on my left.
Yes.
I'm pointing to Ashley. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And that's you with your face blurred out?
Yes.
And that's Brittany?
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about the topic. You had stated that the defendant was mentally and physically abusive. And you gave an example about when you believed you were eating dog feces. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Were there other times she was physically abusive?
Yes.
Will you please describe that to the jury?
Erica was physically abusive. Sometimes she would just hit me. I'd have bruises all over me. I remember one time she was very upset. She had me like pinned to the floor. One of her knees was like on my chest, and I can't remember. She had her hands around my throat or my mouth, but like I couldn't really breathe, and I was crying. And she would tell me like in these circumstances, if I would tell my dad what she was doing to me, then she would do worse. So I never told my dad about what was going on.
And based on your perception of being in that house, was she envious or jealous of your relationship with your father?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. And in that household, you were the only child that was not biologically the defendant. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Alexander was her biological child. FC and Casey was her biological children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your mom, Ashley, is the individual that she was going through the custody battle with. Is that a fair statement with Chad?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Grace. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. My name's Angie. I'm an attorney, and myself and my co-counsels represent Erica today. We appreciate you being here, and I realize this is a pretty sensitive issue for you all the way around. So I'm going to try to, one, be sensitive to that, but we might have to get into a few areas that make you a little bit uncomfortable, okay?
Yeah.
And if you have any questions about how I have phrased something or confused, just please let me know. I'm really not trying to trick you in any way, shape, or form. We just want to find out exactly what you remember from that night. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So if I am correct, you were 7. Well, you know what? Let's back up. Let's start with some positive stuff. You said that you do not have a lot of memories about your mother.
No.
Okay. Can you tell us a few that you do have?
I remember like we would go to Chuck E. Cheese a lot. I just remember being there quite a bit.
Okay.
I just like I can remember like being with her, but not. I can't really say like too many activities.
Okay. Do you remember taking any camping trips with her and Brittany?
No, I don't remember any camping. We did do. We went fishing a few times.
Okay. Do you remember a family that lived across the street that you were friends with their daughter?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that young lady's name? Do you remember?
I can't remember her name, but I can remember going over across the street, and I did have a girl I was friends with.
Okay. Do you still communicate with her at all?
No, I don't.
No,
I don't
probably
remember
not
her
since
name
you
now.
were
No.
7, right? Okay. So do you have any recollection of how long you were actually living with your mother?
No.
No. Okay. You said you remember living with your father
Yes.
and with Erica,
Yes.
and that living with your father is happy memories for you. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me about some of the good memories that you have with your father?
We would go out to eat a lot. We went to Fleming's a lot. Like going like not Target, Walmart. We would go like shopping. Um, he had a Mustang, so like sometimes we would just drive around and listen to music in the Mustang. And just like hanging out. It was good.
Okay. And you have been visiting with him your entire life, right? Up until this point, you've been going to the prison
Yeah,
to see him?
there was a few years after the incident where I didn't have any contact with him. I wasn't allowed.
You weren't allowed? How
Yeah.
come you weren't allowed?
Um, I forget if there was like an order not to. I think we had to put something in like to a judge so I could see him, but like
Okay.
I wasn't allowed for a while.
Maybe there was still some court stuff going on in regards to your custody. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. But once you were allowed to see him, then you started seeing him regularly, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you close to your grandma and grandpa?
Yes.
Cindy and Jacob? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been residing with them since you were 7 years old, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are your grandma and grandpa really close to your dad?
Yes.
And do they see him as often as you do?
Yes.
Do they talk to you about your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have they done that for your entire life?
I mean, yeah.
Maybe tell us some stories, the kind of stuff the family does. Do you remember
Yeah.
when your dad did this? Yeah, they did that with you?
Mhm.
Okay. And those were probably all positive memories, correct?
It was mainly just him being stubborn as a kid.
They tell you stories about when he was a kid, huh?
Yeah.
All right, and he was a little bit of a stubborn guy? Fair enough. Okay. And when you go visit your dad, you said you talked to him about what's going on in your life. Do you two ever reminisce about the times you had together?
Occasionally we will, yes.
Okay. And the prosecutor asked you lots of questions about, you said that you know why your dad's in prison, correct?
Yes.
How do you feel about why your dad's in prison?
I mean, it's unfortunate, but he was part of the murder, so I can't really say like it's not fair for him to be there because I mean I believe he did have a part of it. And I mean, people have to serve their time, so
Okay. Kind of hope the answer to this is no, but are you aware of a lot of the circumstances of how your mother died?
no.
No.
I mean, I can't necessarily I want to know like every step that happened.
Well, I can't blame you for that. That's why I said I kind of
Yeah.
hope that you don't.
Yeah.
So you don't really know the details of what took place. You just know that your dad is responsible in some fashion.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any not good memories of your time with your father?
No, I can't remember any bad times with my father.
Okay. And now you told the prosecutor when she was asking you that you remember going to counseling after your mother died, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And you went for a few years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember who your counselor was?
I know I had two different ones. I can't remember their names. The first one I can't remember what she looked like. The second one, I mean, I can't remember her name, but I remember what she looked like.
Okay. So they were both ladies?
They were.
You remember that much?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you enjoy going to those counseling sessions?
As the years went on, it kind of felt like I didn't really know why I was like still like going there.
Okay.
So eventually I was just like, I don't really want to go anymore. I didn't really see like too much of a purpose.
Do you remember how old you were when you stopped going?
I think it was right before I went into like junior high, so like up until like middle school.
Okay. And when you were going to those counseling sessions, were you open with the people that you were discussing your life with?
Yeah.
Yes, you weren't holding back.
No.
Okay. And would you agree with me that, well, like, we'll go back to age 7 for different situations. What grade were you in when you were 7?
Like first grade?
Do you remember who your teacher was?
No, I don't remember
Who was your best friend?
Kelsey Gowder. we've kind of fallen off, but we were friends for a very long time.
Okay, so that started back in like the first grade. And what
Yeah, it
school?
started really young.
Okay, what school were you at?
I can't remember if I was at the St. Peter and Paul or Chippewa at that time.
Okay, and I mean this was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to remember things that happened a long time ago, correct?
Yeah.
So would you agree with me that if I'm talking to somebody about something that took place
Mhm.
the next day, that what I tell them might be a little bit more accurate than what I would tell you 10 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to remember more details, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Do you have any recollection of speaking to your counselor about your father shooting the family dog?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay. Do you remember telling your counselor that your father spanked you with a belt and gave you bruises?
No.
Do you remember that you told your counselor that you got into trouble not because Erica was jealous of your relationship, but because she left the gate down and your little sister went down the stairs?
I do remember that one, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember seeing your father kill your mother?
No.
Do you remember telling your counselor that?
No.
Do you remember telling your counselor that Brittany told you that Erica made that call about the pizza?
No.
Okay, I think we left with, you do not recall telling your counselor that Brittany told you that Erica called the pizza place?
I do not.
Okay. Do you recall telling your counselor that Brittany would never lie to you?
I do not.
Do you remember discussing with your counselor that you recall seeing your father by the barn at your great-grandma's house with something in his hand?
I do not.
Do you remember telling your counselor that a thump woke you up that night?
I do not.
Do you remember drawing a picture for your counselor of mom, Erica, and your dad, referring to Erica as your mother?
I don't.
Okay. Do you remember discussing with your counselor that you missed Erica because she was the mom you were used to?
I do not.
That Ashley took you away from your mom and dad?
I do not.
Though, do you recall telling your counselor that when you were asked what Erica would do when you misbehaved, that you said nothing, she would put you in timeout?
I do not.
Do you remember asking your counselor whether or not your father was able to hear your conversations because you were worried about what he was hearing?
I do not.
You said that you've had absolutely no contact with Erica since your mother's death, correct?
Correct.
And you have had no contact with Brittany since your mother's death, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the only people relevant to this entire situation that you have had contact with are your father, correct?
Yes.
And his family, correct?
Yes.
And your family that raised you.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. How often over the course of your life has your family discussed your mother's death with you?
I mean, they never tell me like what happened. I mean, not really. We don't really. I mean, can you go into like more like context of what exactly you mean?
On direct examination, the prosecutor asked you a question and it's part of your response, and she rightfully stopped you. You said, "At this time I know, but not at that time." Do you remember responding like that?
Yes.
Okay. So would you agree with me that that would indicate that you've been told information about this situation over the course of your life?
Yeah, either told or read or seen it somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So who would have told you anything in regards to this situation? Okay. Okay, Graves, forgive me if I repeat a couple things here, but throws you off track a little bit. So we were talking about whether or not you have discussed your mother's death
Mhm.
or learned of it in other ways,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. So from the age of 7 to current, have you had discussions with your father in regards to your mother's death?
I have with them, yes.
You have.
Mhm.
And would you say that that's once or twice, or is it something that has come up a number of times over the last 12 years?
Only a handful of times.
Okay. During the last 12 years, have you had conversations with your grandmother, Cindy Cobb, as it relates to your mother's death?
A handful of times.
A handful of times. How about your grandpa, Jay Cobb?
No.
No, he doesn't really bring it up.
No, he's,
Okay. How about your great grandma?
no, not her.
No. So primarily it is with, you've discussed it with your counselor when you were, yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry. We just need to make sure that Christy hears a word. You said, mm-hmm. Okay. So you discussed it with your counselor, you've discussed it with your grandmother,
Yes.
and you've discussed it with your father.
Yes.
And I think you said something about reading. Have you read about circumstances surrounding your mother's death?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure you can see there's cameras in the courtroom today, so you know that there's some publicity surrounding her death, correct?
Yes.
And over the years, have you ever watched any of that?
I have.
You have. Okay. And you've read articles about it online?
Yes.
Did you read the newspaper?
Like online.
Okay. And obviously, this is something that's very dear to your heart because it involves both of your parents, correct?
Yes.
So have you ever had conversations about this situation with your best friend?
No.
No. How about your boyfriend?
Yes.
You live with him. I would assume you guys talk about everything?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And would you say, like, have you discussed this with him once or multiple times?
About my mother's death?
Yes, ma'am.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Okay. Going to discuss a little bit some of what you told Prosecutor Easter on direct examination about the night of your mother's death. You said that you do not recall being placed in a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Tell me the last thing that you remember from June 20th of 2012.
Like I said, I don't remember if hearing the phone call was the same time I had woken up and kind of looked around, or if it was like before or after.
Well, I just mean that entire day. Do you remember anything throughout the course of that day? Because you said that you were in this vehicle. You remember being in a vehicle after dark, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so do you remember what time you got up that day?
No.
Do you remember what the weather was like that day?
No.
Do you remember if you did anything with your friends that day?
No.
Do you remember doing anything with your dad that day?
No.
Do you remember what time you would have gone to bed that day?
No.
Do you remember driving anywhere that night?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember if the vehicle was moving or not.
Okay. You don't remember what type of a vehicle it was, correct?
Correct.
You don't remember how many rows of seats were in that vehicle, correct?
Correct.
You don't remember which row you were in, just the back, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You don't remember which seat of the vehicle Erica was in?
Correct. It was one of the front seats, but I can't remember which.
One of the front seats, but you don't remember which? Okay, if I told you that in a prior proceeding that you said she was in the passenger seat, would that sound accurate to you?
Yeah, that could be accurate.
Okay. And if I told you that your dad has said that Erica was driving?
Objection.
Basis?
She's impeaching with someone else's testimony.
I can ask her if she'd, okay, I can rephrase it, Your Honor. Okay. Would you be surprised if your father has given a sworn statement that she was the driver?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sidebar. Thank you, Your Honor. Just getting back to where we were, Grace, would it surprise you if I told you that your father has stated that Erica was in the driver's seat that night?
I mean, I'm not surprised. I don't.
Okay. Would it Okay, well, let me back up here. You said that you heard a phone call, but regardless of which seat she's in the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Yes, she's in the vehicle with you.
Yes.
Okay. So if your father said that she was not in the vehicle, who do you think is more accurate?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You can be in a vehicle.
That means you don't answer. I'm sorry. That's okay. Go to your next question.
Okay. After you say that you had heard a phone call being made by Erica, can you, well, you know what, let's talk a little further detail of that. Did you see it or just hear it?
I heard it
Okay, so you couldn't physically see where she was?
during the phone call. Like I said, I don't remember if that's when I saw her in the vehicle or if that was at a separate amount of time.
Okay. If I told you that you have previously testified that she was inside the vehicle, would you disagree with me?
No, like I said, she's in a vehicle.
Did you see the phone?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
seeing that.
After a pizza was ordered, do you recall that phone ringing?
I don't remember. No.
Okay. So do you have any recollection of there being a second telephone conversation that night?
No.
No. Do you know how long you were awake when you say you heard this?
I'd say a short amount of time. I just remember just kind of hearing it.
And if I'm understanding correctly what your testimony was on direct, basically from that time forward, you don't remember anything else.
After that,
Correct.
correct.
Okay. And you remember waking up at your great-grandma's house the next day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I know the prosecutor was asking if you remembered seeing any police at the house that day. I think you said one came to the door, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. What did you do the rest of that day?
I don't remember what I did the rest of that day.
Okay. Do you remember when you went to stay with your grandparents, what day it was after that?
No, I don't. I remember when I went with them, it was before my 8th birthday.
Okay. And your 8th birthday would have been the next month? Is that right?
Yeah, I would have been in July.
Okay. What do you remember? Well, we're talking about the end of June and your birthday is July what?
18th.
18th. Okay, so not quite a month in between when your mother passed away until your 8th birthday. Okay. So sometime before you turned 8, you moved in with your grandparents.
Yes.
Do you remember anything about that time frame between your mother's death and moving in with them?
I mean, I remember staying at foster home. Like I said, I don't remember how many nights it was. And then I remember I went with my grandparents. It was just kind of like I wasn't really being told I was going to go. They just kind of showed up and I went with them.
Just kind of picked you up and took you there?
Yeah.
And you stayed there. You stayed there ever since
Yeah,
until
I
you
stayed
moved
there.
out as an adult.
Mhm.
Okay. Did you go to your mother's funeral?
I did.
You did? Okay. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yes.
Okay. Was it when you were in foster care or after you lived with your grandparents?
I don't remember if it was before or after.
Okay. Now, you mentioned when the prosecutor was questioning you that you had some half siblings, correct?
Yes.
And you said that you have GC and KC, correct?
FC.
I'm sorry, FC.
Yes.
You're GC. I'm so sorry. It's a lot of initials. It gets confusing. Okay, so you have FC and KC.
Yes.
Okay, but you have another half sibling too, don't you?
No.
No. You're not aware that your father has another child by the name of Jocelyn?
We've had conversations about that, but the mother of the child, I hear she was very, it's yours, it's not yours, it's yours, it's not yours. So I can't really exactly say like she is. Like I don't know. I don't know if she is or not.
Okay. Until I asked you here, were you aware that you were aware she existed?
Yeah,
Here.
I know she exists. I just don't recognize her as
As a sibling?
family. Yeah.
Okay. And your dad doesn't recognize her as his child then?
It's not, I think he.
Objection, speculation as to what.
She already said she had conversations with him about it. And that's why she's uncertain as to whether or not there's a parent-child relationship.
Overruled. I'll hear the answer.
Can I?
Yes, please.
May answer.
Answer, Grace, please.
We've had conversations about it, and I mean, I think he thinks it is. Because the mother has said like, oh, it is his. But I mean, me myself, I can't say. I don't know if I believe it or not.
Okay, so you're uncertain and you've never had a relationship with her, so you don't consider her to be
Yeah.
a sibling. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. As it relates to KC and FC, who do they live with?
They live with Mike Stefanko, which would be their stepdad.
Okay. And what is your relationship with your half siblings?
I try to have a relationship with them. I've recently, over this past weekend, I picked up Faith and Kai, or FC and Casey.
Thank you.
And
Just strike the names from the record. You're good.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
and we spent some time together. So I do try to, especially with FC, just because we've had always been close.
When you say you had always been close, so you're talking about when you were small children?
Yeah, and they lived, FC and Casey lived with me and my grandparents for a few years.
For a few years?
Yes.
What were the dates of that?
I can't exactly remember the dates. It was like late teens to maybe like 2021.
Well, would it help to try to think about it in terms of how old you were or what year in school you were?
I know Casey, I know he was in first grade and he is in like third or fourth now. Or fifth.
Okay.
Out of grades.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Well, Grace, do you know why if they lived with you and your grandparents and you had a close relationship with them, when they moved in with Mike Stefanko, did you not continue to see them?
We tried to see them, but Mike was supposed to facilitate the visitations and he wouldn't ever like answer us back after we asked to see them.
Okay. And are you saying that because you asked Mr. Stefanko to visit with your siblings or because somebody told you that?
I saw the text and I would like tell my grandma that I want to see him.
Okay, but you weren't actually discussing the custody situation with Mr. Stefanko, correct?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And you said that you recently picked them both up and you all hung out together, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, what day was that?
This was Sunday.
Sunday, just this past Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. And how was it? Was it a good time?
Yeah, it was good.
Was it the first time you've seen them in a while?
I saw FC. It would have been like November. In November, we hung out.
Okay.
But before that, it's been a while.
Okay. So, I mean, you're an adult now, correct? So how did this come about after a lapse in communication between you and your half-siblings? How did it start again?
Well, Faith got a phone and she started,
FC.
sorry.
Thank you.
She got a phone and kind of getting into social media, so started texting her.
So you connected online?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty standard nowadays, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's how everybody reconnects. Okay, so, I mean, FC and Casey are still minors, correct?
Yes.
And they still live with Mr. Stefanko, correct?
Yes.
And was he aware that you came and picked them up on Sunday?
Yes.
And nobody tried to stop you from seeing your siblings, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you guys make plans to do that again?
We have we don't have any set plans, but we hope to hang out again.
Okay. If you know, have your half siblings seen your grandparents recently?
They have not.
Grace, it sounded like from what you told the prosecutor that you're a hardworking lady, huh? You've had jobs for a while, yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's something to be proud of, it is. And when do you think you're going to finish school?
It'll be August of 2025 of next year.
In addition to visiting your father at the prison, do you send him money sometimes?
Occasionally I will.
All right, so that wraps up Grace Cobb's testimony. Before we move on to the next testimony, I just want to mention that it's interesting to hear how she speaks of her biological mom, Ashley, the victim. And you can tell that it doesn't seem like her mom has ever really done anything bad or negative to her like Erica has. And it's interesting because the way she talks about her is not the most positive, even with that said. And it almost sounds like from when a child is experiencing divorced parents and one side is feeding information to the child about the other parent and basically talking trash about them. So it kind of sounds like that might have been the situation here with Grace, is hearing all these negative things about her mom. And because she was so young and can't make those decisions for herself of what she perceived when she was little, other than good times like going to Chuck E. Cheese, all she can do is reiterate what she's heard over the years of Erica and her dad kind of talking bad about her mom. So it's really sad to hear that, as there isn't really any proof necessarily that her mom, Ashley, was a bad parent. I mean, definitely better than Erica. If anything, it just sounds like she was a little more absent due to her career in the military and things like that, which is also to be expected for that career. All right, so we're going to continue. We're going to skip ahead and continue to the next testimony. It's going to be a guy that worked with the victim that night of the murder at the Domino's pizza place.
Approximately what time was that order or that phone call?
It was before midnight.
Okay. And will you please tell the jurors about that order or that phone call?
Okay, so a female caller, I believe the name was Jennifer that she gave me and the phone number, had ordered a pizza. I took the address and she asked for it to be delivered to the back door. And I took the order and then I called it back to make sure. They answered the phone, said, yeah, we're here, and continued on.
Okay. Now you said a lot. So that call came in before midnight, you said?
Yep.
Okay. And you said they gave a name?
Yep. I want to say it was Jennifer.
Okay. And you said it was a female?
It was a female.
How do you know it was a female?
Sounded like a female on the phone?
Okay. It had a female voice?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And you said you called the number back?
I did.
Why?
Because it was a new customer.
Okay. And how can you tell if somebody's a new customer or not?
It shows me on my computer.
Okay. Was it, if I say that phone call came in at approximately 11:42 p.m., do you have any reason to think otherwise?
No.
Okay. Up to this point in time, how was the night? Was there anything unusual?
No. Typical.
Was that call unusual?
No. Typical normal.
Okay. So when that call came in, pizza done, Ashley was going to go deliver the pizza?
Yes. I didn't have no other drivers. She had to take it.
Okay. Were you going to go with her?
I was going to go with her, yes. I was going to lock up the shop and go with her. I do that a lot, just training and just to know that my crew is doing what I wanted them to do.
Okay. The spot check, make sure everything was going fine? Okay. Has she delivered pizzas at this late at night before?
Absolutely. Later, actually. I do believe on the weekends we're open an hour later.
Okay. And everything was fine?
Everything seemed normal.
Well, you said you were going to go. What stopped you?
She did.
Why?
She wanted me to stay and start cleaning.
Okay.
She's got this. She told me that the delivery's right up the road. She'll be right back, like 10, 15 minutes tops.
Was the delivery right up the road?
It was.
Okay. If I say 647 West Turkey Foot Lake Road, does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Is that where the delivery was going to?
Yes.
Okay. And that was right up the road from the
Yes.
Domino's. Okay. Did you stay and continue to clean?
I did for a short period of time.
And why did that make such a big deal to Ashley for you to stay and continue to clean?
She wanted to go home.
Oh, you all, even her, you all couldn't go home until the shop was cleaned.
That's
and
correct.
closed. Okay. Do you remember? Do you know what type of car Ashley drove?
Ford Taurus.
What color?
Gray.
All right. So now you're at Domino's Pizza cleaning, and Ashley is making that delivery. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. What happens next?
She don't return in a timely manner. I lock up the shop, but I go try to find her.
When you say a timely manner, how much time do you think passed before you started getting worried?
15, 20 minutes.
And according to you, that would have been ample time for her to go, drop the pizza off, and come back?
Absolutely. She was my best driver. She was quick.
Okay. You say you lock up the...
Thank you.
Okay. At any time before you lock up and just going out there, did you try to call her?
Several times?
Did she answer?
No.
And you had her number?
On speed dial.
All right, so you lock up and try to go find her. Tell the jury what happens.
I went to where she was supposed to be delivering the pizza. I pulled into the parking lot. I seen a puddle of blood. I turned around and I called the police.
Did you get out your car?
Hell no. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Did you see any other cars around?
I did not. The place was completely black.
And when you say black, is that the night, dark out?
No lights, no outside lights. It was dark.
And you were able to see blood on the ground?
With my headlights, because like I said, it was asked to be delivered to the back door. There's a little road that goes to the backside, and I didn't even pull back there for it.
Okay. You did not get out your car, and upon seeing that, you said you went back to the shop.
I was calling the police on the way back.
Okay. You make it back to the shop. Did the police come?
Yep.
Tell the jurors what happened after the police came.
Summit County Sheriffs were the first one to arrive. I told them what was going on. I called Brittany Dunson and asked if she heard from her. And she told me no. I actually woke her up. She was sleeping. And I told her what was going on. And Brittany immediately got up and came to Domino's and met me there.
Okay.
At that point, Brittany Dunson started talking to the officers about the custody battle and about Chad.
Okay. All right. And all of this happened at Domino's. They came to the police came to Domino's. Brittany Dunson came to Domino's.
Domino's on South Main Street.
Did anyone try to call the number that called the pizza back?
I did.
I said pizza back.
Several
Called
times.
to order the pizza. Okay.
Several
When did
times.
you try to do that?
I called Ashley a good couple times first, and then I called that number a couple times, and I kept calling Ashley.
Did you provide that number to the police?
Absolutely.
Do you know?
I gave the police information from the delivery stickers, as much as I could possibly give them.
Okay, I'm gonna show you some exhibits.
Keep going. Just excuse me, just keep going.
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 43.
That's Ashley's car.
And that's the gray, what kind of car is it?
Ford Taurus.
That's the gray Ford Taurus that she left out from the store delivering the pizza.
Yeah.
All right, so that was pretty much the testimony of the guy that worked with the victim that night. And yeah, it's really sad to see, like you're saying, SOS, that He is really the only one so far that we've seen like cry over the victim, and even after all these years, he's still so distraught about it. It kind of comes down to the fact that he's probably holding on to so much guilt, given the fact that we heard him say that he was going to be the one to go out either with her or without her, and that he didn't because she demanded that he stayed behind and clean so they could leave and things like that. So I'm sure he just holds on to a ton of guilt. So those tears are probably sadness for her for sure, but also, you know, kind of for himself too, and wondering what more he could have done, or oh, if I had just gone. But to be honest, I hope that he does work on coping with this, because whether he went with her that night, they had it in their mind they were going to get that they were going to get Ashley. So even if he had shown up that night, it might not have been that night that they got her, but it would have inevitably happened. It was in their heads. They had been planning it, you know. It would have happened one way or another. So he really couldn't have controlled it, but I know it's probably hard for him to you know, wrap his mind around that and accept that. You want to think that you can prevent something so tragic from happening when you were so close to them. So we're going to continue with two different officers back to back. We're going to hear them testify as to the crime scene of when they found the vehicle in the field and Ashley's body in it.
Okay. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
What shift were you working?
I was working our third shift, which is from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay. In New Franklin, do you work two-man cars or were you by yourself?
We work one-man cars, and there was 3 of us on duty that night, all in separate vehicles.
Okay. And when you say vehicles, you were in your uniform in a marked cruiser?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in this case, how did you become involved in this case?
At that time, our sergeant was contacted by the Summit County Sheriff's Office that they had a missing female, and that she had made a pizza delivery to an address in our city. And that's when myself and my sergeant then went over to the address that was given to us from Summit County Sheriff's Office to check to make sure what was going on over there at the business.
Okay, and what was that address you were given?
That was 647 West Turkey Foot Lake Road.
Is that in Summit County, Ohio?
Yes, it is.
And you said who all, tell me what you did after you got that dispatch call.
Okay, me and my supervisor, my Sergeant Kreiner, we met up at a separate business. He told me what was going on. So myself and him drove over to the closed business. At that time, it was roughly around midnight, 12:15, I believe it was.
Describe for the jury what you saw when you got there.
When we had pulled in and we exited our vehicles, my sergeant stated that he had seen blood and that there was a sign of a struggle near one of the doors in the side parking lot of that business.
You said when you pulled in, tell the jury where you pulled in and how far did you go?
Okay, we pulled into the business, went along the west side of the building to the back parking lot, and as we pulled into the back parking lot, as we were pulling back there, that's when we recognized where the blood was at, and that's when we had stopped there.
Okay. And then you said you saw blood and signs of a struggle. What was the appearance of what you saw that indicated signs of a struggle?
There was change near a side door and some trash cans, some pieces of plastic that were around, pieces of paper, things like that.
Okay. So you're at this building. Can you just describe the scene? Was it dark, light?
Yeah, as you pulled in, there was a front light on towards the front parking lot of the building. As you went to the side of the building, which would have been the west side, there's a small little driveway that goes back to the back parking lot, which at that point, there were no lights on the side or the back side of the parking lot as you pulled in.
Okay. Is it fair to say, okay, you said a light in the front, so you could see a little in the front?
You could see a little bit, yes.
But as you go towards the back,
Yeah,
darkness?
Yes.
Okay. Was that business open or closed?
It was closed.
Can you describe the area when you go towards the back? Describe that area.
When you get to the back parking lot, there was the numerous parking spaces back there. And then the parking lot was surrounded by a small yard in the back. And then there was a wood line on the west side and the north side of the property line there. But it goes back into a pond area.
Okay. And was that area dark as well? Was there any lights back there?
Yeah, and it was dark back there.
What did you do next?
At that point, my sergeant made a contacted his supervisors or lieutenant at the time, and also Detective Hitchings. that when we told them, and he had told them what they had located in the ground or on the ground and all those things.
Okay. Did you put a be on the lookout for anything?
Yes, at one point we put out a be on the lookout for the victim's vehicle, which I believe was a gray Ford Taurus at the time.
Okay. And be on the lookout, I said the whole name. Is that called a bolo?
It's called a bolo, which in all reports we say bolo, but it is be on the lookout that we send to neighboring agencies.
Okay. Before I get too far, we talked about the scene. I'm going to show you some. I think you have to do something on your part, Your Honor, so that can. Okay. No, but you can look at it. I won't have to stop it. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 10, 11, and 12. Please take a moment and look at those exhibits. No, that's yours. Oh, no, that's yours. The state showed you State's Exhibits 10, 11, and 12. Did you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, I did.
How were you able to recognize those exhibits?
Those were the photos taken near the back parking lot where the blood was found and a cell phone on the ground.
Do these photos fairly and accurately represent what you saw the night of June 20th, 2012?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I'm going to show you those photos. First, State's Exhibit number 10. Do you recognize State's Exhibit number 10?
Yes, I do.
Please tell the jury what we're looking at and put it into context where it is.
Okay, this is in the back parking lot. This would have been in I believe it was the first parking space as you go down the long driveway, and I want to say there's 6 or 7 parking spaces on the left. This would have been the blood that we located in the first near the first parking spot.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 11. What are we looking at in that exhibit?
This would have been some blood that was carried over into the next parking spot on the yellow line there.
In this parking spot, you said carried over. Is that adjoining State's Exhibit number 10?
Yes.
In State's Exhibit number 12?
And this would have been a cell phone on the ground where roughly in that same area. I'm not positive exactly where the cell phone was at, but it was within near those parking spaces near the side parking lot there.
Okay. And I don't know if you can see it from here, but do you see that there's more blood on the
Yes,
ground
I
as
see
well?
there's some more blood it kind of trickled through going down towards the right there.
Okay. I believe we left off, you were on scene, and then more individuals from the New Franklin Police Department were called down to the scene.
Yes.
Okay. What did you do next?
At that point, I then had to leave the scene to handle an unrelated call for service. I'm not sure what the actual call was at the time, but another call that I had to go handle.
When you left, who all was on scene at that time?
At that time, the detectives, I believe Detective Hitchens was on scene, but not positive. He might have been at Domino's at that time. But my sergeant was there. Our other supervisors were there. There were a few deputy sheriffs that had come out to the scene as well.
Approximately how long were you gone?
I would say about 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 max.
Was that the time it took to clear the other call?
Yes, by the time I drove to that call, handled it, and then cleared that call, yes.
Was that call related to this incident?
It was unrelated.
Did you go back to the scene?
I was on my way back to the scene when Sergeant Kreiner had contacted me, and he just wanted me to check our other areas around that surrounding area to look for the vehicle. We have some state parks in the area, a lot of wooded areas. So I was just driving through neighborhoods and other places trying to, at that point, locate the victim's vehicle if it was anywhere in that area.
Okay. Were you able to find anything?
I was unable to find the victim's vehicle.
Okay. And you said you had some state parks and some other areas. Did you check those areas you just
Yes,
mentioned?
I did. Yes.
What did you do after checking those areas?
At that point, after checking the areas, I was then contacted by Sergeant Kreiner again. And at some point, we had gotten information about a relative of the suspect at the time was Chad Cobb, that a relative lived at 731 Rex Lake Road. And he wanted me to go check that residence again to see if there was anything there or if the suspect or victim's vehicle was on that property at the time.
Where is 731 Rex Lake Road in reference to 647 West Reeford Lake?
I would say it's probably a quarter mile to a half a mile, probably southwest of the West Turkey Foot Lake Road address.
Okay. And approximately where were you when you got those instructions?
I believe I just finished checking one of the state park areas. I'm not positive on exactly where I was at when I received that call.
When you got those instructions, what did you do and where did you go?
At that point, I just proceeded to go to the 731 Rex Lake Road address. And as I pulled into the side driveway, I noticed that there was a large unattached garage near the back. As I came down to the back parking lot, I parked my vehicle. I then exited my vehicle and went out and walked the rest of the way on foot, which was probably 100, 150 feet, somewhere in that area, to go check behind that garage. I figured if someone wants to hide a vehicle, this is a very large building, they may be able to hide a vehicle behind that.
Okay. Well, a couple things. We're about to start talking about a vehicle. When you first got to 647 Rex Lake Road, 647 West Turkey Foot Lake Road, did you see any other vehicles?
There was no vehicles when I arrived.
Okay. Did you see any other people on scene when you arrived?
There was no people on scene.
Okay. So now you're at 731 Rex Lake Road. What is that? Is that a house, a building?
It is a private residence, so I believe it's just a one family residence.
You said you parked your cruiser where?
There was an upper parking lot that's closer to the house. I parked my cruiser there, and then there was another drive that went down a small hill that kind of went back towards where the unattached garage was at, and I parked on the upper part of the driveway.
Where were your headlights? Were your headlights facing the detached garage?
When I pulled in, yes, but no. When I pulled, my headlights would have been facing west, away from it.
Okay.
And I turned my headlights off.
How far did you go down when
it
you
was
parked?
Approximately 100, 150 feet from my vehicle.
Okay. What happened when you? Well, hold on. What happened when you walked down to the detached, you called it a barn or garage?
Unattached garage.
Okay. What happened when you walked down to the unattached garage?
As I looked around, when I got to the north side of the building, there was nothing on the west side of the garage or the south part of the garage. And when I walked around to the north part of the garage, I located, there was a vehicle that was parked there it was running, sitting there parked.
You said it was running?
Yes.
Can you describe where exactly it was located? That's a long detached garage. Was it at the end, the middle, the beginning of the detached?
It was more the beginning, more the beginning part, which would have been the north part of the garage, but it was back far enough where you wouldn't be able to see it unless you were onto the back side. So it would be more front to middle.
At that time of night, can you describe the lighting from the house and then as it goes back to the detached
I
garage?
believe there was one light on the garage, the north part of the garage, but everything else there were some small lights around, but it was not too bright back there.
Okay. And when you say the garage, you're still talking about the
The
detached.
unattached garage in the back.
Were you by yourself at this time?
Yes, I was.
Okay. How did you approach the car?
As I turned the corner, I noticed that the vehicle was running. There was nobody in the driver's seat, but there was a female in the passenger seat. And as I came across to the corner, opened the door. She opened the door. I went to speak with her, and that's when I realized that there was 4 small children in the back of the vehicle at that time. As I went to talk to the occupant of the passenger side.
Okay. Did you, and you described how you physically approached, did you have your gun drawn, no gun drawn?
At that point, I did not.
Okay. And the children, was there any noise or anything coming from the car at that time?
No, there was nothing that I heard coming from it. It appeared that all the children were asleep at that time when I first spoke with the passenger.
What type of vehicle was this?
It was a Lincoln Navigator SUV.
What color?
It was black, I believe.
Okay. Do you know if it had 2 rows or 3 rows?
I believe it had 3 rows.
And where were the children located?
The children were in the second and third row of the vehicle, in the back.
You said the female was in the passenger side?
Yes, she was.
No one was in the driver's side?
Nobody was in the driver's seat.
Okay. You walked to the passenger side?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury what happened once you got to the passenger side.
As I spoke with the passenger at that time,
did you ask her what was going on?
At that point, before I spoke with her, I had run the plate of the vehicle, and that's when our dispatch came back and advised me that the vehicle came back to Chad Cobb, and then that's when I made more of an attempt to make contact with the passenger and speak with her. Sorry, I had to go back a minute to get to that.
You're fine. So that happened. Where were you located when you ran the?
Near the front of the vehicle. There was a front license plate on the car, so as I was walking around, I read it, ran the plate, and then as I continued walking, that's when dispatch advised me that that was the vehicle that we were looking for at that time.
Okay. And you approached the passenger. What was her
Yes.
demeanor?
She appeared calm. She had the appearance that she didn't really know what was going on at the time.
Okay. So did you ask her what was going on?
Yeah, I'd asked her what is going on. She told me at that point she had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
And then at that point I had asked her.
Do you know where Chad was at that point in time?
I did not. I had no idea where Chad was at that time, and that's when I had asked her.
After that, did you try to go find Chad?
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Where did you try to go find Chad?
As I was standing near the vehicle, I had radioed to my sergeant so that I found the vehicle, and they said they'd be on their way down. And I was waiting for them to come back down. That's when I heard some noises coming from the woods. It was about northeast of my location where the garage was at. I'd say 100 feet, but it sounded like there were sticks breaking, heavy footsteps. So at that point, I believe that there was a possible human, that it was possibly Chad that was in the woods at that point.
Okay. Well, first of all, when you heard that noise, did that cause you concern?
Yes, it caused me concern. I actually, at that point, when I heard the noises, at that point, I kind of fell back towards the car, and that's when I drew my weapon at that point.
Were you still the only individual, meaning officer, on scene?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you said you had called out?
Yes, I advised, at that point when I heard the noise, I advised my sergeant that there were some loud noises coming from the woods, and he told me to stand by and wait for him to arrive on scene before we went going in that direction to look for anybody.
Okay. And when you said we, that is just you, right?
At this point, it was just me, yes. So he wanted me to wait until he arrived on scene or more officers could arrive on scene before I proceeded any further.
Did you do that?
Yes, I waited right there by the side of the garage.
Okay. And your weapon was drawn at this
Yes.
time? Did other officers show up?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
A few minutes later, my sergeant arrived along with 2, maybe 3 other Summit County deputies. And when they arrived, we walked up into the woods to the area that I heard the noises coming from. As we were walking up a small little path, one of the deputies said, "I got him." And that is when we located Chad Cobb in the woods, crouching down behind a tree.
Okay. Approximately how far up do you think he was located in the woods?
I would say 150 feet, maybe 200, somewhere in that area.
And it was dark in the woods?
Yes, it was dark.
And you
Only
said,
thing we had was our flashlights that we had on us.
you said he was crouching. What do you mean crouching down?
He was kind of crouching down. He wasn't on the ground, but just kind of crouched down on his feet like this, kind of hiding behind a tree.
Were you present when he was placed in cuffs?
Yes, I was.
Did he resist?
Not at all.
Okay. I'm going to show you some photos. I'm going to show you what's been marked states Exhibit 66, 67, 68, 70, 71, and 75. Please take a moment and look at those. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes, I do.
Do those photos fairly and accurately represent the scene at 731 Rex Lake Road as you remember them on June 20th to 21st of 2012?
Yes, I do.
Now, approximately what time was it when you located that vehicle?
It was around 4:30 in the morning when I arrived on scene down there at that house.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit number 66. And do you recognize that?
Yes.
What are we looking at?
That would be the front of the residence at 731 Rex Lake Road.
In that photo, can you see where you parked?
No.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit number, hold on, let me read it. States Exhibit number 67. You recognize that exhibit?
Yes. That would be the side driveway where I pulled back of the residence.
And there's a truck in that side driveway. Did you pull, in terms of where you pulled, was it closer to the front or closer to that truck?
I would have pulled to the back part of that parking lot. I would have turned left right there before that fence.
Okay, so we still can't see where, okay, we're gonna get there. Showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit number 68. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, that's the back driveway parking lot of the residence, and that is the area where I parked my vehicle.
Okay. Oh, so when you were first coming down, your lights would have shined towards that detached
Yes.
garage, but when you turned,
Yes, and then I turned and parked facing away from the garage there.
okay, so it's fair to say, just start there. I'm gonna show you what's been marked as States Exhibit number 70. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, that would be the front and west side of the garage where I had walked around to that front part of where the flag is at.
Okay. This one is a little more difficult. I'm gonna show you what's been marked as States Exhibit number 71. And Your Honor, I'm gonna walk this past the jury because you're
Okay.
not gonna see it on the document hand. And it's hard to see that photo. What are we looking at in that photo?
On the right side of the photo would be the west side of the garage, and then there's a vehicle that is parked next to the garage on the north side of the building.
This photo is pretty dark. Does that indicative of the lighting situation that night?
Yes, it was.
Just want to go over this. You said, is it this side is the side that you just pointed to for the garage, or the other side?
Yep, you can. Yep, that's where the front side of the front half of the garage is.
And then this area that I'm pointing to now, which there's, for the record, a bright spot. What is this area I'm pointing to now?
That'd be the front of the vehicle, and the shiny part would be the license plate.
Thank you. And it's one more like that, Your Honor. State's Exhibit 75. State's Exhibit 75. What are we looking at in that exhibit?
That would be the. It looks like it's the entry point to the wooded area where I had heard the noises.
Okay. So at this point in time, Chad Cobb is arrested. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Where was he taken at that time?
At that point, we had placed him. He was back in the back of my cruiser, and then briefly after, he was then transported back to our police department, so he can be questioned by the detectives whenever they arrived.
Okay. And when you found that navigator, was it only one adult, the defendant, in that navigator?
Yes.
Okay. So had the defendant went into the woods, there would have been no adults in that navigator?
Yes.
What were the approximate ages from your memory of the children in the car?
I know two of them were very small. I believe one was a very small baby. One might have been a toddler. And then I'd say one was one or two of them were around, I'd say, preschool age. I'm not very good with ages on children, so I apologize.
That's fine. Was there any reason to be behind that garage that time of night?
None that I can think of.
And based on your training, experience, and tenure on a job, did it appear that the individual in that vehicle were trying to evade detection by the police?
Objection. Basis?
False respect.
Based on his training? Oh.
Overruled. I'll hear the answer.
Yes, I would believe that would be able to hide from detection from us. Yes.
Were there any other cars like from State's Exhibit 68, were there any other cars behind that house impeding them from parking in that area?
Did you put on the document camera?
Sure. It takes so long.
It'll just take a second.
Were there any other cars impeding them from parking in that area?
I do not believe that there was any other vehicles over there. I believe they were in the garage.
Okay. That was quick. And I said it would be long. All right, so no other cars in that area impeding that navigator from parking there?
Yeah, no other vehicles that I can remember.
And there's one in State's Exhibit number 67, but no other vehicles in that long driveway going down?
No.
In the front of the house, State's Exhibit 66. No other, when you got there that night and it was dark, no other vehicles in the front?
I don't believe that there was any vehicles up front, no.
The person you saw sitting in the passenger seat in the car with the children, do you see that person in court today?
Yes, I do.
Will you please point that individual out? Describe what they are wearing.
Yes, she's sitting right here wearing a blue shirt, white sweater, glasses.
Okay. Your Honor, will you please let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes, so noted. Let the record reflect that the witness has identified Erica Stefanko.
Make sure I got it all my exhibits. I do not have any further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Counsel for the defendant, go ahead.
Officer Hardigan, I'm Jeff Laybourne. I represent Erica. If you don't understand the question I'm asking you, just ask me to repeat it. Okay, just have a few questions. So when you came up to the car, you went up to the Lincoln Navigator, you testified that it appeared that she didn't know what was going on, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, actually stated, I don't know what's going on. Is that correct?
I believe that's what she said. Yes. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Going back to West Turkey Foot Lake Road where you saw the blood, could you see, and it's hard to see in those photos, but could you see any evidence of what car or cars might have been in that parking lot previously?
No.
Like if there were no puddles, either of blood or some other liquid where you could see a tire track that had driven through?
No.
Okay. You testified that there was money on the ground. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you immediately thought maybe this was a robbery?
Yes. That's possible. Yes.
How much money was on the ground, you know?
It was lots of change. From what I can recollect, there was just change on the ground.
No bills?
Nothing that I remember. No, not that I recall.
Okay. And you said that you testified that when you came up on the Navigator, it appeared she didn't know what was going on, and she said, I don't know what's going on. Just to confirm, she's in the passenger side of that vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you made contact with Ms. Stefanko, had you heard anything in the woods yet?
I had not as of that time. Yeah.
Okay. I know this sounds silly, but she's not in the woods, right?
No.
Just Chad Cobb's in there.
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that home on Rex Lake is Chad Cobb's grandmother's house?
Yes, we were made aware of that.
Okay.
It was a relative. I didn't know, maybe not grandmother, but a relative.
A relative of
Yes.
Chad Cobb?
Yes.
Okay. When you came upon Chad Cobb in the woods, you said he was hiding behind a tree.
Yes.
Was he crouched down?
Yes.
Okay. So he didn't you said he didn't resist, but he didn't come out and surrender. You guys had to go in and
Yeah,
get him.
we went in and grabbed him. Yes.
Okay. When you were looking around the vehicle, the Navigator, did you notice like a bumper sticker on the back window that had like different stick figures of family members?
I did not. No.
Okay. I think Detective Hitchings got into this, but I just want to make sure that in the course of you walking around there, did you notice that, so it was like a man, a woman, and then 4 children, stick figures. Did you notice that the man and the woman stickers had been ripped off and taped to a post nearby?
I was not aware of any of that, no.
Did you notice that the man stick figure had been made to look like almost there was a knife stabbing the female stick figure? Did you see that?
Objection. It's been answered twice that he has no knowledge of any stick figures, Your Honor. He literally said he didn't see any stick figures twice.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, you didn't see the stick figures?
No.
Did you ever talk to Detective Hitchings about that?
No, I did not.
Is that the first you're hearing about that?
Actually, yes, it is.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything from the state?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Officer Hargett, thank you for your testimony. You're free to go.
I just showed you multiple photos taken of that scene. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes.
Do those photos fairly and accurately represent that scene and the images from that day?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things you testified about is how you got to the car. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 28. Pretty dark, huh? State's Exhibit number 28. Can you see State's Exhibit number 28?
Yes.
Okay. You can get to the car coming up this way, but there's also a little road right here. I just want to make it clear which way. Oh, thank you, Judge. Thank you. Can you clear that off? Can you erase that? Or he can.
Don't know about that.
Do you know how to use the touch screen?
No.
You can just
Okay,
use your
give me a look.
finger. You can just use your finger and it'll mark on there.
I just wanted to erase the other mark so it wouldn't confuse the jury.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, if you just hit clear. There you
Okay.
go. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. Can you show the jury the path that you took to the car?
I think it was back through this area here.
Yes. All right. I just want, okay. You did not come the other way. And when you drove your trucks up through that way as well. Is that a fair statement?
Correct, yes.
I'm gonna show up, and can you hit clear? I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 37. Will you please tell the jury what we're looking at?
This would be coming into the path that I indicated previously. Once we got into the open field, I believe now we're looking towards where that vehicle would be at. And I think it's at the edge of the woods where that field began once we came in.
In reference to the car. And if you don't remember or don't know, you can say it, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't remember for sure. That looks like it might be beyond the vehicle now.
Okay, that's fine. The significance of this picture, can you tell the jurors what the significance of the picture would be?
Well, the significance in this photograph would be the distance to any neighboring buildings, houses. You're quite a ways away from any of those.
Okay. That is one of the broader outside photos as you're going in towards the car. Is that a fair statement?
Correct, yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 38.
All right, now reaching the end of the path going in that we went in, once we got to that field, now you can see that vehicle was sitting kind of in that corner, that curved corner back there, and that's the vehicle as it was found when we got back to that field.
Okay. Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 39.
That would be,
Hold on,
no, that's right.
That's fine.
That's the VIN tag or vehicle identification number tag that's on the inside of the windshield on the dash of the vehicle.
And you talked about that is one of the ways you use, even if you see the physical car, you use to identify the vehicle?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 40.
That would be the vehicle, photograph of the vehicle driver's door as you're looking facing the vehicle.
Okay, and we see the windows rolled down. Is this as you found the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, the driver's side and the passenger side windows were rolled down?
Yes, it looks like it.
And I think you talked about mud or dirt or debris on the tires,
Yes.
and you can clearly see that on this as well, and the dirt as shown on the car.
Correct, yes.
State's Exhibit number 41.
That would be facing the vehicle, looking at the rear driver's door, and looking into the vehicle, you can see that there's a human arm. Looks like you can see it there.
And those back windows are rolled up. Is that a fair statement?
Correct, yes.
State's Exhibit 42.
Okay, the back driver's rear corner as you're facing the vehicle, and that's indicating the license plate that was found on the vehicle. It also gives, you can see the blue oval Ford tag, and you can also see that it says Taurus LX on it. So it gives more identification of the vehicle.
State's Exhibit number 44.
I believe that's going to be the rear passenger door, looking at the rocker panel or the threshold going into that area. And it's also showing the ground, the vegetation matter around the ground area below it.
I'm going to skip a little forward so I won't have to come back. But do you recognize what I'm circling right here?
Yeah, I've seen those before. That looks like a taser wire hanging out. And on the end of the taser wires, there's generally a probe. And that's what that appears to be, is a taser wire and a probe hanging out from the doorway.
Okay. Are you familiar with tasers?
Only running across them in the field.
Okay. The significance of a probe on a taser? And if not, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. State's Exhibit number 45.
Looking through the front passenger window, there were papers, receipts, if you will, they were taped on the steering wheel and documenting the inside of the car in that driver's area, documenting those receipts as they were found on the steering wheel.
Okay, so now we're moving to the inside of the vehicle. Picture-wise.
Well, that could be through the open window. We
Okay.
may not have actually gotten in the car yet, but that's through the down window on the passenger side front door.
Okay. And just to be fair, there were a lot of photos taken that day. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, ma'am.
And these are not indicative of what I'm showing you today, all the photos that you took.
Hardly.
Okay. Okay. State's Exhibit number 46.
Now going back, documenting the receipts again, trying to get close-ups of what's actually there so that you might make out what's on those receipts.
Okay. State's Exhibit number 47.
Now this, we're looking through, the door is closed on this. You can see the door lock, the window down on the passenger front door. So we're photographing the front seat, center console area, and the front passenger seat of the vehicle.
State's Exhibit number 48.
Now we can see that the car door is open. And again, focusing on the front passenger seat and what was in the front passenger compartment area.
Okay. And is there something on the front passenger seat floor?
Yeah, it's a jacket, shirt, camouflage type garment.
State's Exhibit number 51.
That garment that we previously saw on the floorboard is now, we've taken it out. We're kind of documenting what's on it and what's about it, what we found as it was found.
And what's on it? What is that? Do you recognize? What is this?
I think it's black tape.
Okay.
Duct tape would be the correct terminology for it, because duct is a brand, but it's a black adhesive tape.
Okay. And that is the way you found that tape on the jacket?
Yes.
Let me ask something. Before you start disturbing a scene, is it photographed first?
Yes.
State's Exhibit number 52.
The front driver's door, we can see the steering wheel off to our right there, and you see the turn signal. And then the interior of the door, where it meets the dash, there were some what we call reddish-brown stains, or questioned reddish-brown stains, that were found in that area, and they were photographed.
State's Exhibit number, you can't tell. State's Exhibit number 53.
I believe that's still the same door. And what you're seeing there is there's some more questioned reddish stains or reddish brown stains around the door handle and the door latch on the driver's door, on the door.
I don't know if you all can see that. Are you referring to this area right here and then this area right here?
Yeah, what you pointed to first, that hole in the bottom there, would be the pull handle to close the door when you're sitting in the seat. And then the silver is the door latch, the mechanism that opens the door from the inside. And then the reddish brown stains are what you indicated between those two.
Okay, and that's on the driver's side?
Yes.
State's exhibit number 54.
All right, this would be the rear passenger door on the vehicle. The door's been opened. And again, we have these reddish brown stains, questioned staining on the interior of that door. It also, you can see the rocker panel or the threshold area between the door and the body of the car. There's also some more reddish staining going on in that area as well.
State's exhibit number 56.
Okay, that is a photograph. Camera has been rotated 90 degrees now. So that photograph actually is on its side. That would have been a vertical photograph that was taken instead of a horizontal photograph. There you go. So that would be looking through the driver's rear door. The door is open, documenting the position of the body as it was found inside the car.
Okay, now you describe what we're looking at on the body.
The bottom area here at the ankles, there is a binding, like a zip tie. I believe that's what those were, zip ties. This area here, there's another zip tie. So what we're seeing here is that the ankles were bound and just above the knees were bound.
And this part of that zip tie?
Yes.
Okay. And these are fairly large zip ties.
Correct.
Is that a fair statement? Okay.
Yes.
What are we looking at?
Again, that would be another vertical photograph.
Exhibit number 57.
Yes, that's another vertical photograph. So you can rotate it 90 degrees to the left. And that would be as we previously saw, now focusing closer to document the bindings around the ankles.
Is that standard or normal that if you have a zoomed out shot, you'll get a closer shot to get a better picture of the image?
Yeah, usually we take so many photographs, but you get overalls, median photographs, and close-ups, and then if you need to move in for more documentation, you might take even more close and macro shots if necessary.
Are rulers sometimes used or measurement devices?
Scale devices, yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's exhibit number 58.
Okay, I believe that's the back seat. In the center, there was a cartridge. It's a black cartridge. What we see is that black item that's there on the seat, and it's being marked with placard number 4. And the placards are used for identification purposes within the photographs. Usually those placard numbers will match the evidence inventory receipt form. So if you see placard number 4, it makes it easy to look on the evidence inventory sheet. Item number 4 would be what you're seeing in that photograph.
Okay. Now you said this is in the back seat. This is after the body was removed from the back seat?
Yes.
Okay. And then placard number 4, what is that to the best of your knowledge?
I believe that's a taser cartridge.
Okay. Is it I may have to bring it to you. Is a component of that taser cartridge missing?
I think there might be several components missing out of that taser cartridge.
I'm showing you what's been What's been marked as State's Exhibit number 59? What are we looking at?
Same photograph as before, just much closer now.
Before I go on, I want to ask one question. Who removed the body?
There was a couple of the agents that assisted the coroner's office with the removal of the body.
And you said the coroner's office. When you're at a scene, do you all ever process a body on scene or manipulate the body prior to the coroner getting there?
We do. We don't usually unless we have permission from the coroner. If it's going to be a while before the coroner gets there, then I will ask if we can obtain permission from the county coroner to do some work, take photographs, document. If we need to collect swabs or do some other things of that nature, I always ask for permission from the coroner's office to get that if they are not present.
This time the coroner came, you all did not. Is that a fair statement?
The coroner was there, yes.
State's Exhibit number 60.
And again, we take a lot of photographs, and this photograph would be of the decedent's right hand, and just documenting the condition of the hand, the fingernails, any kinds of debris that would be there. It's just documenting it as we found the hand on the body.
State's Exhibit number 61.
This would be the left hand of the decedent, indicating the condition and what was present when we found the body.
State's Exhibit number 62, I'm sorry.
And assisting the coroner's office, the white portion that you see on the bottom would have been the body bag. So she was removed from the vehicle and placed in the body bag and then rolled over to indicate. We look for injuries on the body, anything that would be obvious. They're going to send the body for an autopsy, but anything that we might see that could be helpful with the investigation, autopsies take time and they're very time consuming. So anything that we could find immediately that might help with the investigation, we try to locate that as quick as possible.
Are you aware, or did you take note of the mark on her back?
Yes.
What is that?
I'm not sure what that is. I'm not a pathologist.
State's Exhibit number 63.
Again, same photograph as before, now moving more towards the head and shoulders area. What we're seeing now is the back of the victim's head to the right side of the rear. And you're seeing the shiny stuff kind of looks like spaghetti laying there over top of her hair. I believe that's the wires from the taser. And then I think you're also seeing some black tape towards the bottom.
Can you circle where the black tape is? Okay.
From what I can see in this photograph, it could extend up even further more a little bit.
State's Exhibit number 65.
Okay, the victim's now rolled over on her back and now documenting the head and chest area again, showing that she had jewelry on and that there is a binding or a zip tie that is actually zipped down around her neck. And you can still see the taser wires, the shiny spaghetti looking stuff there is the taser wires.
I'm going to show you what's the mark of State's Exhibit number 115. Okay. I'm going to show you what's the mark of State's Exhibit number 78.
Again, through the front passenger door, documenting the area on the front seat and the floor area inside the vehicle, front passenger compartment.
State's Exhibit number 79.
That's upside down, I think. Through the, do you need to identify it?
Yes, State's Exhibit 79.
Through the front driver's door, again documenting the area of that passenger compartment up front and looking towards the passenger side from the driver's side.
State's Exhibit number 105.
From the front of the vehicle facing it, it was backed into our garage, and that's taking a photograph of the front passenger corner of it, also capturing the license plate number of the vehicle.
State.
What number was that one?
105. You're welcome. State's Exhibit 106.
Okay, this would be the opposing corner of the vehicle now. So we're at the rear driver's corner facing the vehicle, showing down the side of the driver's side, and the flash didn't let us capture the license plate, but that's what we would have been trying to capture.
No, it did. We just can't see it up there. State's Exhibit number 107.
The back of the vehicle, again indicating the license plate number and the back windshield with the characters that are on the back windshield of the vehicle.
And State's Exhibit number 108.
In the center of the windshield, as we can see the windshield wiper there, it appears as though there are a couple of the characters that are possibly missing from the window.
Okay. And is that there was a ruler used in this photo?
It's a tape scale.
Okay. And you said can you use your device to circle where those two are missing that you believe are missing?
They would have been inside that circle.
Are you aware of any swabs or prints was taken from this car?
Yeah, without looking at the inventory.
Okay, that's fine. If there was an area, like you said, reddish brown stains or something, there would have been a swab taken?
Correct, yes.
Did you do a report? Well, what did you do with the items, if any, collected from this?
They would have also been turned over to the New Franklin Police Department.
And this is separate than the car in Wayne County. Was there a different report authored by you all for this
Yes.
navigator?
Yes.
And again, that's different and apart from what the Franklin Police Department does?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do anything else regarding this case at the time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Now, a house on Mount Eaton Road was searched as well. Were you part of that?
I may have gone out there to meet with other crime scene people, but I don't believe I was involved in any search out there.
Okay.
All right, so that wraps up both of the officers that were on the scene of the vehicle and finding the victim's body. Now we are going to listen to the testimony of an officer that was part of the search team that searched the home that Chad was staying in.
We were told there was a search warrant being obtained. It had not been signed by a judge yet. So until that happened, we couldn't do anything. It was myself, the other agent, a deputy sheriff, and I believe there was a New Franklin police officer as well. We just stood out in the driveway waiting until we got word the warrant was issued.
Okay. And do you recall approximately what time of the day it was?
According to my report, at about 9:05 p.m., we received a phone call that the warrant had been issued and we were able to move forward.
All right. And so when you say issued, for purpose of the jury, so they understand, before the warrant is issued, you're not permitted on private property, correct?
That is correct.
All right. You don't have to have the warrant in hand at the property in order to start the search, correct?
No, you do not.
So once you got word it was signed, you began the search.
Yes, sir.
You said it was like 9:05. Now this is June. Was it still light at that time?
It was light. The sun was beginning to set. We decided that if we're going to do this, we'll start on the outside first before we lose our available light, and before moving into the residence and anything else.
So kind of there was a little bit of time is of the essence at this point.
Yes, sir.
How was the weather as far as rain, if you recall?
As I remember it, it was a pretty clear day. It was warm.
All right, so I'm going to show you what I'm marked. Oh, I'm sorry. Prior to you taking the stand, I showed you a series of photographs. Prior to moments before you took the stand, I showed you a series of photographs numbered States Exhibit 80 through 90 and 91 through 94. Did you take a look at those prior to taking the stand?
Yes, sir, I did.
And those photographs, did they all accurately represent the scenes? Well, first of all, were you involved in taking those pictures?
Yes, sir, I believe I did take those photos.
All right. If you didn't take a photo, your partner did, would you have been with him at the time?
Yes, sir.
Is that the normal practice and procedure?
Yes, sir. While crime scene gets the very fancy cameras, we usually have the small point and shoots in SIU. One of us would have had our camera to document this.
All right. And so all these photographs I just asked you about that you reviewed prior to taking the stand, do they accurately represent as best as possible the item or objects in those photographs at the time?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to show you what I've marked as States Exhibit number 80 for identification purposes. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir. That's the address we were waiting for. The black car in the photo was mine. I believe the one behind it was Agent Kohler's. If you look here next to the door to the right of it, there's a post. There's the house number.
And you can actually annotate on that screen if you feel the need. So if you want to circle where you're talking about, and then you. Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I think.
There we go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, the address is right there on the post.
Okay. And now you can clear it with that little button on the bottom right. Hit clear. Yep, there you go. Perfect. All right. And so this was just an establishing shot of the scene you were about to search?
Yes, we normally photograph the residence before we do anything to show what it is, what it looked like when we showed up. Just documentation of what the scene is.
All right. I'm going to show you States Exhibit number 81 for identification purposes and tell me what we're looking at here.
Okay, slightly further down the driveway, we're looking down at three-quarter aspect of the residence, looking kind of down towards the back of the house. You see the driveway, an older, that's you or me.
It's first, isn't it?
An older car parked down there.
Well, hold on a second. Now it made it worse. Okay. There we go. Okay.
You can also see by the sunlight on the front porch, it's starting to set there.
Okay. I'm going to show you States Exhibit number 82.
Again, a little further down the driveway, the tree you see on the left side of the screen was on the right of the last picture. You can see some of the backyard, the service truck here with the bucket on it, the older car looking kind of back through the yard towards the rear of the house.
All right, and is it common practice for crime scene unit to, when you start doing the pictures, you have something from the last picture to kind of keep you oriented?
We try to overlap a little bit for reference, since we're trying to take a 3D image and convert it to 2D just so people can walk through it.
All right, and there were actually animals in the yard at the time?
Yes, chickens. There was a chicken coop in the backyard.
All right, and were there dogs around too, as you recall?
There was a dog in the house we could hear, and I believe there was one tied up in the out in the backyard. We had notified animal control from Wayne County to come out and assist us.
All right. And the truck that we see here, that you, I don't know how you refer to that as a
service truck.
Service truck. That was there when you got there. That was not from BCI, right?
No, that truck was parked there.
All right. Showing you States Exhibit number 83 for identification purposes.
Okay. This photo is in the back of the yard. The privacy fence that you can see there on the left of the photo ran up the length of the property and was on the left side of the house from the very first image we looked at. The burn pit, there's the chicken coop I referred to in the back, and between the burn pit and that chicken coop are a couple sawhorses with a piece of wood on top, kind of creating a table.
All right, and just for reference purposes, we're looking at this, is that the chicken coop back?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get to this location and you see a burn pit, as a crime scene investigator, what does that mean to you?
It's always something we look at. People burn everything, including evidence. Based on what we knew of the case, it was something we noted that the burn pit was there. We'd have to confer with the other agents that were more involved in other aspects of this case. If we needed to, we would get screens and we would sift it. That way, sometimes you burn clothes, you might find snaps, you might find buttons, things like that. It's just one of those items we look at, and if we need further work on it, we will bring more people in and more equipment if necessary.
And so, as far as you recall with this burn pit, did you note of anything of evidentiary value, at least that you were aware of, in that pit?
The cursory look we gave it, we didn't find anything that piqued our interest.
All right. But as you go further past the pit, you said you see the sawhorse and the makeshift table?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did that have anything of evidentiary value on it to you?
There was a few things there that caught our attention when we walked past to take a look at it.
And as a crime scene, unit analyst, usually when you walk up to a place that you're searching, do you usually find, a whole treasure trove of evidence?
Sometimes.
All right. And in this case, when you walked up to this table, did you feel like this was pretty significant situation?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 84. You recognize that?
Yes, sir. This is moving back to the right of this photo would be the chicken coop. The house would be kind of off to the upper left corner. A piece of plywood. There's a sock there, a belt, some long cable ties, and a backpack. The bottom of the picture.
Oh, is it not working?
Here was a pair of boots and a t-shirt.
All right, and I'm going to actually show you State's Exhibit number 80. Well, before I do that, when you first get to the crime scene as a crime scene unit, do you take a picture without touching anything first?
Yes, we always photograph everything as we find it.
All right, and then after you photograph it as you find it and you start looking at things and documenting it, do you use any kind of placards in order to, I guess, organize and label things you find?
Depending on what we're finding and the complexity, we will use the little number tents, try to identify different items of interest to draw attention to, and sometimes to help document this is something we think is important, we'll assign it a number. It'll be documented on a report, it'll be documented in evidence for submission and everything else.
All right, so I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 85 for identification purposes. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir. Again, you can see the privacy fence in the upper right corner of the photo. We put down some of these number tents. Number 3 is a pair of boots that are on the ground. Number 4 is the sock. Number 5, it was hard to see in the last picture, was a holster and a knife. They were both black in color, kind of stacked on top of each other. Number 6 is the backpack that I mentioned. I can't tell if that's number 1 is on the ground here. That should be a pair of pants. Number 2 is the t-shirt.
Okay. And in this picture, does it appear that now the sun has gone down, we're looking at, it's dark now?
Yes, this is more of a flash picture than available light.
All right. Showing you State's Exhibit number 86. So is that a close-up picture?
Close-up picture now. The prior one was an overall. In the bottom right corner, you can see the number 1. There's a pair of pants there. Number 2 is a t-shirt. The boots are out of the picture. Number 4 being, I believe that's a sock. Number 5, the holster and the knife. Number 6, the backpack. And number 8, I believe, is showing the wire ties across the top.
All right, and I'm going to show you many closer pictures. State's Exhibit number 87.
Okay. This was depicted in the prior photo. The bottom is a nylon holster, and on top of that is a black knife in a sheath. The nylon holster itself is holding something that we refer to as a conductive electronic weapon. Everybody refers to them as tasers. Taser is a name brand. This particular one was called, is made by a company, it's called a phaser, P-H-A-Z-Z-E-R.
And so just, this would be the holster with, and this is the grip for the phaser?
Yes, sir.
All right. then this is the knife here.
Yes.
All right, and that's also, and what is this on the end of the knife?
On the pommel, it's got a, it comes to a point for striking.
Would this be considered a diving knife or a tactical knife of some sort?
Looking at the sheath with the two straps on it, the rubber straps, would be more indicative of a dive knife put on the calf of the diver so he can get at if he needs to.
All right, so you strap it to your leg.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then you talked about these cable wires. This is what we're talking about here, these wires right here?
Yes.
All right. Now, we all know things called zip ties. Would these be similar to a zip tie?
That's one of the interchangeable terms.
All right. And these zip ties, like your everyday standard household zip ties that you use, are these like those, or were they different in some way?
They're bigger. That's about it. They're the same basic construction, different sizes depending on what you want to wrap up.
Would you say they were approximately about 3 foot long?
As I recall, these were between 3 and 4 feet. They were pretty significant.
So kind of industrial sized?
Could be.
Okay. And then just showing you a little different picture of similar things, State's Exhibit number 88.
Yes. Okay, this is from the other side of the table now. The yellow that is visible in the picture is the front of the phaser, the muzzle end. You can see the knife on top. The silver piece right above the yellow is part of that pommel, and the titanium naming on the sheath.
All right. Now, let's talk about this right here. What is that?
Those are actually called blast doors. When the trigger is pulled on a phaser or taser, a charge gets pushed through, and it discharges the probes, and those doors fly off.
All right. And when the doors open, that's when there's wires that were testified about earlier. Is that when the wires come out?
Normally, the taser brand itself has a small lead weight with a straightened number 8 fish hook on the end of it, and the wires go from that probe back to the device.
All right. But when it's deployed, those doors open, and then it expels the wires into the person?
Yes.
So, theoretically. Okay. These doors are on it. So what does that mean as far as this taser device, phaser device?
That would be indicative of a live cartridge ready to be deployed.
It's on fire.
It's ready to be used.
Okay. If there was evidence of a prior use of this, somebody would have to then take and put another cartridge on that to reload it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and then State's Exhibit number 89. I think talked about that. Oops.
Okay. These were items 1 and 2 in the other photos. Camouflage pants and a green T-shirt.
And then State's Exhibit number 90. I think at this point you've moved the item a little bit.
Yes, we were gloved up. We moved it around. We had discoloration on the front of the shirt there. Looked kind of staining to us. We had nothing with us to do presumptive blood testing. We notated it and documented it and collected the shirt.
All right, and then State's Exhibit number 91.
These are the boots that were on the ground at the base of the table. We took a picture just to try to get the condition of it. They were kind of dirty, muddy on the soles. You can see in the inside of the boot, they're a 10, looks like a 10 medium. I think that's what that says there.
Okay, and so it doesn't show very well on this picture, but were these like camo boots?
They were camouflage, yes, sir.
All right, but down the soles, you said this had indications of dirt?
They were dirty, yes, sir.
All right, and then here's, I guess, a different view of that, State's Exhibit number 92.
Yes, just a different profile of it. You can see some of the camo pattern in the shoes and the way we found them.
All right, and then State's Exhibit number 93, you talked about a backpack. What is this?
Okay, this is looking inside of the backpack. Unzip the one pouch. The yellow doors are what I mentioned earlier. This is another cartridge for the phaser.
What are these items?
Those were 2 compacts, I guess I could call them. You open them up and they have camouflage face paint in them. You see it in the old war movies, the guys putting the face paint on when they go do operations. That's what was in there, was face paint.
And then were there other items also in that backpack?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 94. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
All right, and now, again, this has now been moved and you're pulling things out of the backpack?
Yes, we brought it out to take a look at what was inside the bag.
All right, so let's start with this item right here.
Okay. That is a roll of Gorilla Tape, which
Okay.
is a heavy-duty duct tape.
And did you, all these items we're talking about, you collected those and then turned those over to the referring agency,
Yes, sir.
which would be New Franklin
Yes, sir.
PD? There was another crime scene on Poor Road in Wayne County. Were you ever at that scene?
No.
So you would have had no connection to what was found or located at that crime scene, correct?
Correct.
What is this right here?
Okay. That is a pair of camouflage gloves. The brownish you see over here is the cuff of the glove, but they're camouflage gloves.
All right. Is that an Under Armour symbol right there?
I believe it was, yes, sir.
And what is this item right here?
That is a neoprene mask. You see a lot of hunters wearing it in wintertime. Goes over the lower part of the face. The holes in it are to breathe through your mouth. It fits over your nose. Kind of similar to what you're wearing now.
Thanks for. You didn't mention the
Noted.
knife strapped to my leg either. But thanks for reminding me. All right. And what is this item right here?
That's an old military style flashlight with a 90-degree bend. You can see on the back of it, there's a clip so you can clip it on. The light faces forward. That particular one had the red lens on the front of it. The red lens was used at nighttime so you don't destroy your night vision. You can still see, but it doesn't hurt your vision.
All right. And is there anything else in this item right here? What was that? And I can show you the picture if that helps you. So, because I know it's not really much.
Is that
This up here.
okay? Difficult to see. It was a camouflage head cover.
All right. And so you're saying there was a head cover or a hat of some sort in there?
Kind of a stretchable skull cap type.
All right. So I know that's hard to see in here. This is, you said, this is the neoprene mask.
Yes.
And I know it's kind of hard. Does that actually appear to be part of this tape? You want to see the photograph again?
Yes, that is a piece of the tape. I can see it there where it was folded over.
Okay. So that's the back side of the tape. The white here is the back side of the tape?
That'd be the adhesive side. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Once you documented it with photographs, marked it, I'm assuming you then memorialize that in your report,
Yes, sir.
all the items. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at your report and review it and make sure that we covered all the items that you believe you found at that table, that makeshift table on that day. And if you could just verify whether there was a hat or not.
I have it listed as a camouflage head cover in my report.
Okay, so that could be a hat, it could be what do they call it, a do-rag or
Skull
something?
cap.
Skull
something
cap,
like
okay. Now, not only did you document these with photographs and put them in your report, you collected those items also, did you not?
that. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if I need gloves for some of these things, but. Showing you State's Exhibit number 111. Do you recognize this packaging?
Yes, I do. Brown paper grocery bag. It's sealed and initialed in the back. MEK, which would be Agent Mark Kohler, the date. On the front of it is a printed BCI evidence tag indicating item number 7, zip ties, found rear yard, scene 15007 North Mount Eaton, Rittman, Ohio, and the case number. The yellow tag would be one of our tags applied by the lab when this was submitted for evidence.
All right. And if there's a report associated with this, will those numbers all match up?
Yes, it shows at the time a case number, CS indicating crime scene, 77, the county, 12, the year, 01 is homicide, and the sequential number after it, 0744.
And then if there's a report, so this says item number 12, this sticker here,
Okay.
what kind of sticker is that?
This is the label we use for investigations that we generated and applied when we collect the evidence. This label is generated by the crime lab to maintain what the items are, what gets submitted. This will show a lab number of 12-3, which indicates the Richfield lab, and a sequential number of 6121. That would be the lab number. So any lab analysis done will be under that number.
All right. And so item number 12, if there's a lab report, like this, if there was testing done on this, and you look on the report, item number 12 will say number 12 on the report.
Yes,
So you would know if you see number 12, oh, that was this item.
yes,
Okay. And is that consistent throughout the way the DCI works?
yes.
All right. So do you recognize these?
Yes, sir. There should be 7 of them that we collected from that table.
All right, you tell me.
4, 6, 7. Yes, sir.
All right, and of course, did you have any at your crime scene? Did you know whether there's any significance to these items at that time?
Initially, no. Later on, we got word from Agent Staley at the other scene that there had been some restraints found, and they were talking about wire ties, zip ties. We had no indication of color, size, or anything else.
Okay. And do you recall, and I'm just showing you the ones here, but were there others found on the property, if you recall?
I believe when we went through that service truck, there were some wire ties similar to that in the truck.
I'm going to show you what I marked as State's Exhibit number 109. Do you recognize that?
Okay, this would have been generated by the lab.
Okay. And as far as the labeling goes, do you understand what that would be?
Yes. Again, the blue is a crime lab labeling, item 14.14. So out of item 14 that was submitted, this was something that was removed from it separate. So again, the lab number 12-36121, New Franklin, the submission date of 7/31 of 12. It's been labeled as one piece of duct tape removed from hat in backpack.
All right. So that could be the piece of tape we see in that photograph that was attached to a hat in that backpack.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Showing you State's Exhibit. Can you read that number?
110.
110. Can you tell me if you recognize that, what it is?
Okay. This again is generated by the lab, item 14.13. So from item 14, this was removed. 1 roll of duct tape removed from backpack. It's been sealed and reopened by the lab. Let me take it out.
Oh, yeah.
It's the roll of Gorilla Tape.
Now there's a piece of cellophane on there. That wasn't the way it was found.
No, the acetate is on it covering the end and is initialed off by one of the scientists that pulled it out.
Okay. And is this the tape that we see in the photographs that you took?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you talked about item 14.13. So for purposes of the way the reports read, if 14 was the backpack, what's the .13?
Anything after the decimal point would be a sub-exhibit. The backpack came in, item 1 might have been the gloves, item number 2 could be the face mask. As items were removed, they were individually cataloged and looked at by the lab.
But they will also correspond to the lab report.
Yes.
And showing you state's exhibit number, was it 112?
112, yes, sir.
And do you recognize this item here?
Our investigations label is on here. Number 1, camo pants. That would have been the number 1 tent on the picture. The camouflage pants found in the backyard.
Okay. And showing you state's exhibit number
114.
Okay, and do you recognize that?
Yes, sir. Written on here is number 5, knife electronic control device. The investigations labeled that we put on the back of it. It had been sealed and initialed off by Agent Kohler.
Okay. And what would that be?
This would be the phaser. And the cartridge is no longer in it.
Okay. And what is this?
That is the dive knife that was seen in the other photos.
And would that be the cartridge?
That would be the cartridge.
Okay. And where does that go? You don't have to load it up, but
that's why I want to remove the battery.
good thinking.
Unfortunately, static electricity can give it a problem. I won't aim it at you. The cartridge fits in the end this way. The yellow is the blast doors. With the battery in there, you pull the trigger, the doors come off, the probes go out, and then it runs the charge through the wires.
All right. And then, so when you say the charge goes to the wire, there's how many wires?
There's 2 wires in there. There's contacts on the back of the cartridge, as well as 2 contacts on the front of the device.
And so when those wires go out, what's on the end of each of those wires?
Like I said, it's a weight. This is their own. I'm not 100% familiar with them. The Taser brand has got a weight on the end, and it's a straight number 8 fish hook.
So there will be on the end of each wire would be at least a hook of some probe of some
Yes.
sort.
Yep.
And what happens if one probe strikes your target and the other one does not?
Nothing. The idea is to close the circuit. On the front of this are 2 probes here. That is only 1 inch apart. If I were to what's termed drive stun in and pull the trigger, it's going to arc probably across this muscle group. The idea with these is the wires open up and you take a bigger muscle group and it can incapacitate a person.
All right. And if they're too far apart, they might not make the connection.
If one strikes and one misses, you don't close the circuit. It's nothing. I'm leaving that separate.
And then this is the tactical knife. If you would just take that out so we can take a look at that.
Only because there's, maybe, hold on, you gotta pull the red switch. It's a safety on it.
I'll let you do it then.
Let's see. Hooked up on something. There it goes.
Okay. All right, and now I'm going to show you a series of things here. This is State's Exhibit.
113.
All right, and how is that labeled? Do you recognize it?
I do not recognize this. It says 1-D camouflage backpack and contents.
All right. And so if I pull this out, does this appear to be the backpack that you photographed and collected from the scene on Eastern Road?
Yes, I don't recognize the packaging. Hold on. One of them.
Okay.
Camo compact.
Okay. And then there's another bag within that. So let's pull those out. And so what do we have here?
The original brown paper bag. Again, this is number 6 backpack. Has the investigations label we generated. The lab tag on here identifies this as item number 14.
And also, is there a sticker on
The sticker on this is State's Exhibit 113.
113? All right. And so what would be in that?
There's a phaser cartridge. A black neoprene mask. Okay, there's the camouflage gloves. Pair of black gloves with hardened shell over the knuckles.
And what's the purpose of the hardened shell?
Protect your hands in case you're wrenching on something you don't want to crack yourself.
Okay.
There's the camouflage head covering.
Okay. Will that be the... Okay.
And our flashlight. Those look like lifts taken by the lab.
Okay. So this in the brown kind of paper bag folded up, there's a, what you call it as a lift. What would that be?
It looks like a piece of tape, clear tape wrapped up. It's initialed off by somebody in our lab. I have no idea what that would be exactly.
And what would be the purpose of a lift?
One of two things. We do fingerprint lifts, like you see in the TV shows, where a fingerprint gets dusted and then clear tape and it gets lifted. We usually put that on a clear acetate sheet. The other thing could be for trace evidence where we want to get hairs or fibers off of something, we'll take the tape, stick it, lift it off, and put that off as well separately.
All right, and we talked about the two camo compacts makeup kits that were found. I'm going to open these up, and there's two of them here. First one, does it appear that it has been used?
No, this one looks pretty clean, pretty fresh.
How about this other one?
That one does appear to have been used. Some smudging where it came off the top. It's up here by the hinges, and it looks like some of the brown got mixed in with some of the green.
Agent Soraya, we went through all the things that you collected. I believe we've covered everything that you found at the scene and that you had indicated in your report. We went through the fact that you bagged it up and gave it to New Franklin. Once that's all done, what role, if any, would you have after that in this case?
In this case, nothing else unless they requested more assistance. At this point in time, I was pretty much done.
All right, and that would be reflected in your report also?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything from Attorney Laybourne?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
Agent Soraya, my name is Jeff Laybourne. I represent Ms. Stefanko. I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
If you don't understand something I'm asking you, just ask me to repeat it. Calling your attention to State's Exhibit number 82. You see that okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now that truck there, what would you call that?
I refer to it as a service truck. It has the bucket on the end for people to go up telephone poles or higher up.
Okay. Was that truck searched?
We would have gone through it looking for anything indicative of the case. Primarily, I believe we looked at it for staining, looking for any type of blood staining. As I recall, there were some wire ties, but there were a lot of tools in it as well. We looked it over and didn't find anything indicative of the blood staining and moved on.
Okay, so it was searched and it looked like it was just kind of cable equipment, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is there a logo on the side of that truck?
I believe there was. I have it noted in my report that it said Cobb Cable Company on it.
Okay. Mr. Laprinzi showed you various items of clothing, and I'm not going to ask you to take those out, other than to ask you. You said that the boots were a size 10M. You said?
I believe so. Looking at the labeling in the photo, without looking at them, I couldn't tell you for sure.
Would that be? Did those look like men's boots?
It could be.
Okay. I mean, is it a men's size? Should we pull them out? I mean,
men's and women's both go with the same number system.
Okay. Okay. Do you recall the size of the pants, camo pants?
I don't know if I notated that or not. No, I did not notice the size on that.
Okay. Did those look like men's pants to you?
Those were made by True Spec, which is a uniform manufacturer. On some of those, they really don't go with men's and women's sizes.
Okay.
They'll go with large, medium, as far as waist versus length, and that's about it.
I think we're probably going to have to pull those out then to take a look. Since you didn't note that, I'd want to see what size those are. So if we can look at Exhibit 112.
Alrighty, we are going to stop there today with this testimony. For whatever reason, that's all they showed on the live for this officer's testimony. It was really vivid to hear the testimony of the previous officer and how he found her body. I don't recall in the first trial. It might have been there. It's just been so long since I made the video on the very first trial. But I don't remember them saying that the taser wires were in her head. That's absolutely insane that he just straight tasered her right in the back of her head or the side of her head. That's obviously not the use of a taser. And I don't even think I caught that last time. So I can only imagine that was, the start of her ultimate demise and her having to fight back. And again, she was in the military, so she was definitely trained to fight and be fit and be able to, stand up on her own 2 feet and fight someone. But this is just showing how caught off guard she was and not expecting when Chad had come around the corner at the place where she delivered the pizza. Getting her in the side of the head is revealing that she didn't even see him. It wasn't direct on. So that was really sad to hear that and see how that played out. So we're going to wrap it up here today with this testimony, and we will be back tomorrow about 1 p.m. EST to watch some further testimony of the grandmother and people like that. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, thanks for hanging out.